Good afternoon and welcome into another edition of That's What I Think with Brandon Swanson. I'm your fearless host, Brandon Swanson, and were we or were we not treated to at least one good playoff football game this past weekend on Championship Sunday? The NFC and AFC championship games being played, and I don't know about you, but I really thought that the Saxonville Jaguars were going to get it from the New England Patriots, but New England did what it always does. And it comes back from about 10 to 20-some points down and wins in the last 5 minutes. And it never ceases to fail or possibly frustrate me sometimes. But you know what? I like Tom Brady. I like what he does. I think he's a great quarterback. He is a great quarterback. And then, unfortunately, we weren't treated to the same type of game in the NFC Championship game. Thought the Vikings were going to drive down. In their first drive after they did that, I thought, oh my gosh, Minnesota's doing exactly what I thought they were going to do and roll the Eagles. And then fly, Eagles, fly, and they did. Not exactly what I was expecting, but still. How about the teams that were in it? Jacksonville, Minnesota, Philly, and of course New England. New England's on an island by itself because you feel like they're there every year, but these other teams, not so much, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. The parity that we saw in the NFL playoffs here in 2018. And it was something special, and it was something really cool. So I want to start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars and kind of go through from 2010 till this season and their records and what they've done to now get to this point. So in 2010, 8-8. And for their fans, they probably thought that was going to be the start of something special, the start of something new and good. And it wasn't, because in 2011, they went 5-11. In 2012, they went 2-14. They were dead last in their division. Hard to beat that. 2013, 4-12. 2014, 3-13. 5-11 in 2015. 3-13 again in 2016. Fourth again. And then in 2017, finally, 10-6. First in the AFC South. Now, how did this happen? How did the Jaguars go from being so terrible, 3-13 last year? It's not like they were working up to 10-6. It's not like, they went 9-7. No, they went 8-8. No, they were 3-13 last year. 10-6 this year. Doug Marrone did an excellent job. Their coordinators need all the credit in the world. Their defense was phenomenal. Jacksonville did something very, very special this year. And their defense was what helped to keep them in every single game. They were phenomenal. They were great. Their additions were outstanding. Jalen Ramsey. Some people may be annoyed with Jalen Ramsey because he chirps all the time. I think that's what makes him hilariously awesome. I mean, just so funny. I still remember the fight against AJ Green earlier in the season. And, well, what happened out there? Jalen Ramsey. Well, he's just weak. He fell because he's just weak. I mean, the guy will put it to you bluntly, sarcastically, but he's being serious. That type of attitude is the type of attitude the Jacksonville Jaguars actually need. How about Calais Campbell coming over from the Arizona Cardinals and being a huge presence up front? That guy was great. How about Barry Church in the secondary? How about AJ Boye? How about all these guys? No, I know some of these guys I didn't name, couldn't name them all, wasn't going to name them all. But these guys are what made a difference for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year and what will continue to make a difference for Jacksonville moving forward. Now, Jacksonville's offense isn't why they got there. Jacksonville's offense is not why they got to the AFC Championship game. Their offense was helpful in getting them there. Not the sole reason. But how about Leonard Fournette? How about this kid who had over 1,000 yards, 1,040 yards on the ground to be exact, with 9 rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown to boot, and he only played in 13 games. 13 games. Imagine if he played and started every single one of them, what this kid could have done. And a record that could have been even better for Jacksonville. This team is not finished. They're just getting started. But I'm so happy for the Jaguars. So happy for them. A team that's been down for so long. Now all we need is the Cleveland Browns to come to town. If you could take that Cleveland Brown team, make it 9-7 or 8-8 after 0-16, it'd be like they won the Super Bowl. But for Jacksonville, you do this without your number one receiver and Allen Robinson, who you lose week 1 on play like number 2. You get him back. You get a lot of these defensive pieces back. Everything else offensively, you add in maybe another wide receiver. You are doing well, Jacksonville. And I expect you back in the playoffs next year. Now this next one, I feel like I have to have music playing in the background for my colleague Ricky Widmer. How about those Minnesota Vikings? Yes, they got steamrolled in the NFC Championship game, but that's not what I want to look at. I want to look at how the Minnesota Vikings got here. In 2010, they were 6-10. 2011, 3-13. 10-6 in 2012. But again, like the Jacksonville Jaguars were at 8-8. It was like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. Here we go. No, the next year they turn around and go 5-10-1. In 2014, 7-9, and that was Zimmer's first season as head coach. And in that season, I think that you could feel something was starting to go right in Minnesota. In 11-5 in 2015, they lost in the wild card playoffs to Seattle in what everyone remembers as the kick that Blair Walsh couldn't make from about 10 yards away. 8-8 in 2016, and in 2017, 13-3 with a magical game against the Saints, and then falling to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game this past Sunday night. So, again, Mike Zimmer, a very good head coach, a guy who really brought this team together, who said, you know what? We're not losing here anymore. We're going to be a good team. And surprisingly enough, they were able to do what they did this season without Adrian Peterson, the guy they thought they could never live without. Well, they're living without him. Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray did an outstanding job of filling in this year for an injured Dalvin Cook. Yeah, that's right. You have Dalvin Cook, in case you forgot, but I know you didn't. Dalvin Cook is going to come back stronger and better than ever next season. He was having a great year this year, and Minnesota has that to look forward to as well. Case Keenum. Case Keenum. You might know him as that guy who was a third stringer for the Rams. You may know him as that guy who no one knew about. And what team did he play for? Or, better yet, you may know him now as that guy who got the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs. And not just to the playoffs, but to the NFC Championship game. I know, he didn't win it, and he didn't play well. But it's just not all on him. But without Case Keenum, they're not there. They're not in the NFC Championship game. Sam Bradford wasn't healthy enough. Teddy Bridgewater wasn't healthy enough. And even with them coming back, there would have been rust on rust on rust. They would have not been able to do what Case Keenum did. Yes, Case Keenum is the reason why the Minnesota Vikings got to that point. And let's not forget their defense. It has always been the cornerstone of the Minnesota Vikings, at least for the time that I've been watching. The Minnesota Vikings have had a very good defense for a very long time. It's been the rock for them. And again, it was the rock for them this season. Getting turnovers, big stops, key plays, putting it back into the hands of Case Keenum in that offense. How about Adam Thielen? How about Stephon Diggs? And how about the guy, as Ricky likes to tout, as the second best tight end behind Gronkowski, Kyle Rudolph. This is a very good Minnesota team. And now they're left with a quandary. Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, all their contracts are up. What do? Do they go with the loyalty that they have had for so long, it seems like, with Teddy Bridgewater? We all know they're getting rid of Sam Bradford. He's not coming back. But how about Case Keenum? Do they have a newfound loyalty in Case Keenum, the man who got them to the NFC Championship game? I don't know. I'm not the Minnesota Brass, and I'm not a Minnesota fan. But if I were to guess, my guess is Teddy Bridgewater is the man who stays. And Keenum is playing for the New York Giants. And last but not least, how about those Philadelphia Eagles? Philly fans, they're the type of fans that they love you until it's time to hate you. And let me go through their run. In 2010, 10-6. They lost the wild card playoffs to the Packers. That was an Andy Reid year. I don't think he was there much longer. 2011, 8-8. 4-12 in 2012. That's when Eagles fans were all depressed and thinking terrible thoughts in their head. 10-6 in 2013. They were able to step off the ledge. It was going to be okay. Chip Kelly was there. It was fine. They went to the playoffs. They lost to the Saints. 10-6 in 2014. Okay, we're holding steady, but I'm not liking this. We're not getting any better. 7-9 in 2015. They're back on the ledge. 7-9 in 2016. A foot is off the ledge. And in 2017, they were able to jump off the ledge, sit in front of their TVs, and actually watch a game again. 13-3 for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're on their way to Super Bowl 52 against Tommy Brady and the New England Patriots. This Philadelphia team has had an up and down ride in their history, but they're back. They're there again. Why? They're all there because of a guy who's not even there. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz. Yeah, that South Dakota kid, or North Dakota kid, or some Dakota kid. North Dakota. That's where he was. North Dakota guy. And he's the reason why you're going to the Super Bowl. But he won't be the reason you win it. Nick Foles. Ooh, people cringe when they hear Nick Foles. Or they did cringe when they heard the name Nick Foles. But they're not doing that right now in Philly. Because Nick Foles, the guy who was not even given a chance, certainly not by me. I thought the Eagles would get rolled by the Vikings. I thought the Eagles would get rolled by the Falcons. And guess what? Neither thing happened. It didn't happen. Nick Foles played just well enough to beat the Falcons, and Nick Foles played out of his mind to beat the Vikings. So that guy who was washed up and he was okay, he was certainly not good, because when he came in for Foles and played against the Rams, it was like, Nick Foles, he's okay, but he's never going to be able to lead them to anything. Nick Foles is laughing in the face of all those idiots, me being included. But will Nick Foles be able to do it against Tom Brady? The jury is still out. But Nick Foles, if he can bring what he brought this past weekend, and if his receivers can show up, Alshon Jeffrey being one of them, Zach Ertz being his safety blanket, tight end god, and then his running game, Jay Ajayi, Garrett Blunt, Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, anybody else they got? They got about 12 running backs. It's not just going to be Foles. But everyone I named, they're all huge pieces for Philadelphia. They can do it. But this Philly team, they're good. And let's not forget about their defense. Their defense that may sometimes be overlooked because their offense is pretty explosive. Their defense is solid in every sense of the word. They are really, really good. Up front, as Keenum struggled to really have time to make good reads, throws, all because the Eagles put pressure on him. Good pressure on him. If they're able to do that against Tom Brady, they have a good chance. Super Bowl 52 is going to be a good one. Eagles, Patriots. You choose. You choose. But I want to end it here. These three teams I mentioned, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Jaguars, they've been nothing special for quite a long time. And they were all here, and they all had their chances. Jacksonville, many of us thought they would win. Many would say they should have. On the other side, the Vikings, it wasn't close, but they were there for a reason. The magic finally wore off, but boy, was it good against the Saints. Unless you're a Saints fan, then it wasn't good. And the Eagles. All had great seasons and all got there in different ways on different paths. And you certainly cannot count out these other teams that got to the playoffs as well. Didn't make it as far, but still got to the playoffs. The parity in the NFL this year was outstanding, and it was fun. How about the LA Rams, the Minnesota Vikings, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, and the Buffalo Bills? All of those teams made the playoffs. Some of those teams hadn't sniffed the playoffs ever, or ever in my lifetime. And now they did. They're there. They got the taste. But now they want the meal. They're hoping to be back next year. I'm hoping they are too. It keeps the NFL fun, lively, exciting. And that's what we want, right? Or maybe we just want the Patriots to win every year. Well, probably not. And that's what I think this week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what teams you think are going to be back next year and what teams we may be seeing for the first time again or for the first time ever. I'd love to know your thoughts. Really hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed talking about these teams. And I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. I know it's a couple of weeks away, but Super Bowl 52, February 4th. Enjoy it. It's going to be a good one. Who you got down below? I also want to know that. Again, thanks so much for watching. I'll be here again next week. Same time, same place, Wednesday, 3 Eastern, 2 Central, and 12 Pacific. Until then, have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend. So long.